booster shot confusion, more chaos at the border, and Democrats want to rein in presidential powers. That and more on this week's headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. If you're confused about what exactly is going on with COVID-19 booster shots, there's some good news. Is the good news that public health officials are finally offering transparent analysis of their findings and better clarifying their messages? Nope. The good news is at least you're not alone in your confusion. The Biden administration initially announced booster shots would begin this week, starting September 20th. Then they tempered those plans by saying only some Americans will be eligible for booster shots, pending FDA and CDC approval. Then, last week, an FDA advisory panel rejected offering widespread booster shots of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine to the general population, although they approved it for some people. Okay, I was a little unfair to the FDA earlier when I said public health officials aren't being transparent. The FDA live-streamed their advisory panel meeting, so you can watch all 8 hours of it if you want to. Yes, an 8-hour FDA Zoom meeting. Double speed is not enough. Anyway, as a result, the FDA authorized Pfizer booster shots for people over 65 or at a higher risk for severe COVID infection earlier this week. The booster shot was given emergency use authorization only, not full approval. However, the FDA also said the Pfizer booster shots shouldn't be given to anyone who received the Moderna or Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. Here's a chart of the booster shot rollout plan. It was drawn by Jackson Pollock. And now the Biden administration announced it would be purchasing and donating 500 million additional Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines to poor countries. How generous! Now they get to be confused too. Dr. Anthony Fauci defended the booster shot rollout, saying, "I understand why there might be confusion because I think people were not understanding the difference of planning for something and actually what element of that, what proportion of it you're actually going to roll out, and that's exactly what happened. Maybe you shouldn't announce something if you're still only in the planning stages. This is like Apple announcing that the iPhone 46 with hologram projectors and an ice cream dispenser will be available starting September 20th, even though the planning for it didn't start until I made it up just now. Get to work, Apple." And that's a perfect analogy, by the way, because iPhones are just like COVID vaccines. Many fear they lead to an invasion of privacy, yet you're forced to get them if you want to participate in today's society. Also, Johnson & Johnson is the Android of vaccines. Technically, it does all the same things, but everyone judges you for getting that instead of Pfizer. Johnson & Johnson is also getting into the booster shot game. The company announced that a booster shot dose of their COVID-19 vaccine given 2 months after the first dose offers 94% protection against symptomatic COVID-19 and 100% protection against severe COVID-19. These efficacy rates are as good, if not even better, than those of the Moderna and Pfizer booster shots. However, rolling out these booster shots will be a challenge, not only because of the confusion surrounding the booster shot rollouts, but because it's still Johnson & Johnson. Their boosters could give you perfect 20/20 vision and also give you the ability to fly, but it still always will be viewed as the green text box of vaccines. And adding to the confusion, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki announced that President Biden will take a COVID-19 booster shot on camera at an undetermined future date. Wait, he's going to take a shot of something most Americans aren't allowed to have yet? Doesn't that seem a bit like he's rubbing it in? He might as well show off his iPhone 46 while he's at it. Either way, if it is televised, this will be the most views a president received being shot on camera since JFK. I'm sure this will also lead to several conspiracy theories. For the record, my favorite JFK conspiracy theory is that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. Crazy, right? More after the break. Welcome back. A Texas doctor has performed an abortion in defiance of the state's new abortion ban. and now he faces 2 lawsuits. These lawsuits were actually filed by pro-choice advocates who say they only want to bring it to court to test the law's constitutionality. So they're suing over something they're in favor of. The only way the story could be any more confusing and convoluted is if it were announced by the CDC. While the people filing these lawsuits against the doctors say they're pro-choice, it probably doesn't hurt that if they win, they stand to make tons of cash. Anyone who successfully sues those who are even an accessory to ending pregnancies in Texas will win at least $10,000. This is likely to lead to several ridiculous lawsuits, such as mine, where I plan to sue every Texas company that makes coat hangers, stairs, and bounce castles. What? I'm not doing it for the money. I'm just testing the constitutionality of the law. An elementary school employee in Portland, Oregon was suspended for showing up to work while in blackface. The employee wore the blackface to liken herself to Rosa Parks while protesting a vaccination mandate for Oregon school employees. While this employee's career in education might be over, she does have a bright future running for Prime Minister of Canada. An update to a story I covered earlier this week, where at one point 15,000 Haitian migrants were encamped in Del Rio, Texas. Well, now thousands of them have been released into the U.S. Many were given orders to appear at an immigration office within 60 days, and to stay beneath the rug, they were swept under until the media stopped criticizing Biden over this. The rest of the Haitians still in the area face expulsion, either from Mexico, where security forces have arrived, or the U.S., where Biden is using a Trump-era policy, Title 42, to take Haitians into custody and fly them home before they have the opportunity to seek asylum in the U.S. The U.S. Special Envoy for Haiti resigned over this, saying, "I will not be associated with the United States' inhumane, counterproductive decision to deport thousands of Haitian refugees and illegal immigrants to Haiti. Our policy approach to Haiti remains deeply flawed." Biden had campaigned on implementing a more humane immigration policy. Immigration and human rights advocates hoped the Biden administration would end Trump's use of Title 42, instead of, fighting in court to keep the policy. At this rate, if Biden uses any more strategies from Trump's playbook, I expect him to be the host of the new season of The Apprentice and make a cameo appearance in the remake of Home Alone 2. This new crisis at the border is a mess, and we're not even entirely sure just how bad it is, since the FAA placed a 2-week ban on drones over Del Rio, Texas, and grounded a Fox News drone while it was capturing images of Haitian migrants under the bridge. This has angered supporters of the First Amendment, as well as known under-the-bridge enthusiasts, Red Hot Chili Peppers. The FAA released a statement saying the Border Patrol requested the temporary flight restriction due to drones interfering with law enforcement flights on the border. As with any temporary flight restriction, media is able to call the FAA to make requests to operate in the area. While trying to hide what's going on there seems shady, it might be a good thing. Considering the botched drone attack in Afghanistan, it might be for the best that Biden doesn't want to use drones anymore. And after the break, Amazon supports marijuana legalization. Welcome back. Amazon announced it will no longer fire or reject employees or applicants for failing marijuana screenings, and will rehire workers who were fired over marijuana use. The company is also lobbying the government to legalize marijuana federally. This is obviously a win for marijuana advocates, but I say, why stop there? I think Amazon should also waive cocaine and meth screenings. Forget next day shipping. I want next hour shipping. President Biden addressed the UN this week. In his speech, he said, "We're opening a new era of relentless diplomacy, of using the power of our development aid to invest in new ways of lifting people up around the world." Wow! Relentless diplomacy and lifting people up sure is a nice euphemism for abandoning an Afghan base in the middle of the night without informing our allies and leaving behind tons of military equipment used by the Taliban to overthrow the country. And who says Biden doesn't have a way with words? In regards to China, Biden had this to say.
We are not seeking a new Cold War or a world divided into rigid blocks. The United States is ready to work with any nation that steps up and pursues peaceful resolution to shared challenges, even if we have intense disagreements in other areas, because we'll all suffer the consequences of our failure.
Which is a nice euphemism for, we're happy to keep overlooking China's human rights abuses and refusal to abide by UN rules as long as they promise to keep giving us cheap goods. Like this, I turned a blind eye to ethnic cleansing in China and all I got was this slightly cheaper t-shirt shirt. While Biden might at times seem like a weak president, Democrats want to make him even weaker. House Democrats introduced legislation aimed at reining in the powers of the presidency. Is this in response to Biden's sweeping vaccine mandates? Of course not, silly. That's the good type of presidential overreach. This legislation is in response to what else? The presidency of Donald Trump and his alleged abuses of power. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said, "We have to codify this so that no president of whatever party can ever assume that he or she has the power to usurp the power of the other branches of government." Is it just me, or does it sound like they know how unpopular Biden is and are doing this in preparation for Ron DeSantis in 2024? It's like a preemptive power grab to stop a post-emptive power grab. Sounds like another confusing CDC plan. Also, if Democrats really don't like Trump's presidential playbook, then they ought to do more to stop the new host of The Apprentice over here. Either way, the president shouldn't be too powerful. The Founding Fathers actually wanted limits on executive power. So this new legislation would be doing the right thing for the wrong reasons. Kind of like going to your great-grandma's 100th birthday party, but only because you're trying to hook up with your cousin. Right thing, wrong reason. And it's probably a big mistake. And finally, the latest science from Scientific American. Some people abbreviate justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion as Jedi. You know, like Star Wars. They're trying to encourage those values, but Scientific American is here to tell you that's deeply problematic. Are the people at Scientific American secretly Sith Lords? No, of course not. They just point out that the Jedi are inappropriate mascots for social justice. They are a religious order of intergalactic police monks prone to white saviorism and toxically masculine approaches to conflict resolution, violent duels with phallic lightsabers, gaslighting by means of Jedi mind tricks, etc. Force-wielding talents are narratively explained in Star Wars not merely in spiritual terms, but also in ableist and eugenic ones. These supernatural powers are naturalized as biological, hereditary attributes. Yep, definitely not written by Sith Lord. This is obviously absurd. We shouldn't cancel Jedis because they're not good social justice mascots. We should cancel Jedis because they were invented by a white man appropriating and whitewashing Asian culture. Okay, seriously though, the situation clearly tells me two things. One, stop abbreviating justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion as Jedi. Change it to G. And two, the Empire was the good guys. So what do you think about the stories we covered this week? Let us know in the comments below. And remember, America Uncovered is supported mainly by viewers. Be sure to visit patreon.com/AmericaUncovered. Contribute $1 or more per episode. We rely on your support to help us keep making great episodes. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.